Hi, you guys. So I have been very intrigued with the beeswax method of kind of like collaging and stuff like that lately, and haven't had my hands on any beeswax, so I ordered some from Amazon a few days ago, and it actually came yesterday when during my live stream, and so of course I had to get out all my stuff and try it out. So I'm actually really excited about it. Like I'm super inspired and yeah, so I kind of went a little nuts. But mainly the one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to try this is because I've got a bunch of this, really old ephemera and stuff that is extremely brittle and fragile. So, but some of it is so neat. I just kind of put it all together and I thought, well, I can do collages with it and I can use it in my tiles and stuff like that. So, um, anyway, so I pulled all that stuff out. So I've got all of these like really super old magazines, and look at this 1847. Um, some of these really old magazines with tons of really cool advertising um, and stuff like that. So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So, and this magazine is all like fashion and oh, look at the panties. Ladies open drawers with pointed front yoke. Anyway, so all of this like super old ephemera that is just way too fragile to use as pages in junk journals, but beautiful imagery and text, and so I really wanted to try to use some of that. And yeah, I mean it's just kind of endless here. So here's a couple other like magazines that have some neat text and stuff in them. And then there's this like comic book, April 3rd, 1959. So I thought it would be kind of fun to use some of the little comic strips out of here. And then this is, I believe, a French magazine. So this has a bunch of advertising in French, which we love, right? Um, yeah, so that's some more, advertising magazine stuff. There's a Coca-Cola ad. Um, so all that stuff, and then I pulled out. I've been saving the strings off of my like canvas or duck cloth when I tear it, and I've just been saving that stuff to use. Really cool for like texture, and also like I sometimes will use it on tags and things like that. Um, this is a really neat like magazine too. It's craft patterns, but so it's all these like craft like kits that you can order, or patterns that you can order. Well, you used to be able to order. I doubt if you can order anymore. But this thing is super brittle. But I love some of the images in here. So I'll try to make sure I stay in frame a little bit better. Sorry about that. So just some stuff that I wanted to try to use the images. Um, and then I've got these like autograph books that just have some really neat writing in them, really sweet little poems and things like that. I'm going to turn the autofocus off because that is irritating. 1 second. There we go. Okay. All right, so maybe it'll stop doing that wah thing. Okay. A couple of autograph books, like I said, with some neat writing in them. And this is just an old, like somebody's notebook. And a lot of the script is in red, so I like that. And then this book, well, and I have all this advertising here that I do use in my journals. So it's all kind of cut out. And then I have this book. It's a what's it called? Roger's Machinist Guide. So, but it has some really cool like images of like gears and stuff like that. So, so I wanted to use some of those. And then of course, you know, all the stuff out of my little tray that you know, I use in my clusters. And then some of the old letters, the handwritten, you know, letters and anyway, so let me show you what I did last night. And I just kind of started out experimenting just on a piece of paper, just to, you know, kind of see how the wax behaves and what I need to do to make sure that everything adheres and stuff like that. I know that a lot of people will just glue stuff down like with some tacky glue, just a little bit of glue just to kind of hold it in place. So I tried it just with the wax, and you know, it definitely lifted off of the paper. You have to use quite a bit of wax in order to get stuff to like stick with just the wax. So I actually started using some of this triple thick that I have in a bottle, just a little bit behind each, you know, piece, just to kind of hold it down. And then, you know, when you sprinkle I just kind of put what I got. I got the white and the yellow beeswax, so I put it into a jar. But when you sprinkle the wax over it, you'll iron it with an iron. And I just have an old iron that, you know, I don't really care about, so I decided to kind of donate it to this purpose. Anyway, so what happens is when you melt the wax, even if that glue is not dry, it kind of like melts the glue and sort of mixes it with the wax, and it adheres the entire thing down, which is kind of cool. So anyway, so this is kind of what I came up with, just as a, you know, kind of playing around. And so all this stuff is actually stuck on here pretty well, you know. This one lifted just a little bit, but you know, I could add a little bit more wax and maybe a little glue and it'll stay. So I can use this for lots of different things. I could cut it up into little pieces and use this on my art tiles, or, you know, even as a journal cover, just like this, you know, like cut it in half or whatever. So there's that one. And then I've got quite a few covers that I've treated with the crackle paste, and then with the why do I always forget what that stuff is called? Anyway, it's the walnut ink, and it comes from black walnuts. It's water soluble. I wish I had some of those magicals, because I think that the magicals would work really, really well for this, for using on the crackle paste. So maybe one of these days I'll get some of that. But you know, there's just so many choices for those magicals. It's like, how do you choose like which set to get anyway? It's kind of mind blowing. But I like that that stuff is permanent after it's been wet. So I could try my ink tents maybe. I just thought of that. Maybe I'll try some ink tents on the crackle paste and see how that behaves. So anyway, I wanted to try to use some of these covers, and I've got, you know, a few different sizes. So I really need to use these, and I love the way the journals come out using using this as my, you know, cover. So I've got a few over here that I'm gonna do this wax collaging on. So here's a few that I did last night. Oops, upside down. So this one, and there's just little pieces of, you know, handwriting and some rickrack and some of that string, you know, the strings from this, one of the gears, and then this is like a wasp image out of a book. So, and I love how the paper becomes translucent, and so you can see the writing on the paper that's behind, you know, the top one. So, and then the crackle finish comes through just a little bit. You know, I try to leave a little bit of that exposed, but I went a little crazy on on this one. It's definitely a little busier than what I like, but I could put something a little bit more solid on here to kind of tone it down a little bit. So I was kind of also, I had bought some napkins at Tuesday morning the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, napkins. So I got one of those napkins out and kind of pulled it apart. And so that hummingbird is from a napkin, and then just some fabric over it, some of the fabric from the silk shipment from India, and then some, you know, one of the letters, and just random stuff on there. So, and you can still see the crackle paste. And then I thought, wow, it'd be cool if I could get some flowers in there. So I just pulled out some paper flowers that, you know, didn't have brads in them or anything, and kind of layered those up on this one. And there's another image of the hummingbird, and some lace, stuff like that. I just love that, you know, you can get very dimensional with this. So, and then I had this cover that was done with the crackle paste that was all, you know, prepared. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to go for it. And so I just put plain wax. This is duck cloth that's actually holding the book together, or the covers together. And so I just treated that with the wax, and then kind of layered, it was upside down, and then kind of layered up the front and the back and treated them. So, you know, excuse me, it's pretty sturdy, you know. I feel like it's actually very stable on its own without any kind of treatment. But I'm a little bit concerned about that. You know, I just don't want it to start kind of like chipping or flaking off at all, just, you know, through use. So I did a little test to see how the triple thick would adhere to the wax, and how, you know, sturdy that would be. And so I treated this one with the triple thick, just a real thin coat, just to kind of seal it. And I really like the way that worked. I feel like it's very stable that way, and nothing is going to, you know, come off of that. So then I did another one, a little bit thicker layer of the triple thick, and yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to wind up doing with most of these, is just coating them with the triple thick. I don't really want to use Mod Podge. I was thinking it'd be cool to use something that was like a matte, not so shiny. But Mod Podge, I don't really like the way it stays a little teeny bit tacky, and I don't know, I just don't like that. So I wish there was like a thicker type of coating that wasn't glossy, just so I could, you know, try it out. But anyway, so I did those, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna turn the camera on today and work on some more of these, and kind of let you guys tag along and watch the insanity that is my craft studio. So this one I actually started last night before I went to bed, but you know, I didn't finish it. But I remembered that I had all of these cut out butterflies, so I wanted to try to use one of those. And I've got some fabric glued on here, and then some other images out of, you know, some of that ephemera. And then I actually did go through and pulled out a whole bunch of napkins. So I'm going to be here, I think, for a little while working on this stuff, because I'm really having fun with it. So I thought that butterfly, I really like that. You know, I just want to use like random like scraps and stuff like that, you know, and you know, it doesn't take much of this to hold it down. And that's okay. It's okay, like, if stuff kind of sticks off over the sides, because it, you know, it can just get trimmed off later, and I feel like it's good for the, you know, composition. So And I just tore that off because I didn't want it overlapping the fabric right there. And I'm going to just take a little piece of lace, actually, right there. And then I'm going to do a couple of flowers on here too. And this one's kind of puffy, so, but once it gets ironed, it'll flatten out. And I don't want to make this one exceptionally busy, right? Like I want to keep it somewhat simple. That's hard for me to do. Excuse me. And I am sick at the moment, so excuse my coughing. But doing this doesn't really take that much energy, so I think I'll be okay. Took some Advil. So I'm just kind of layering some stuff up here, trying to keep it somewhat random. What do I do with those flowers? Oh my gosh, I lose everything, you guys. Where did I put the paper flower? Oh, they're right here next to me. And the color of these is going to change a little bit, you know, when the wax gets applied. Yeah, the color is going to change just a little bit, so they won't stay that bright. And I'm just going to, you know, and you could get very, very dimensional with this, I think. You could, you know, even use like buttons or little metal pieces or things like that, you know. As a matter of fact, let's see what happens when I add a little gear. Actually, you know what? I have a bunch of little tiny ones. Bunch of little tiny gears in here. Oh, here's a little watch hand. Okay. Here's one. They're just all kind of random in here. There's another one. Let's find one more. Try to find a larger one. They're so hard to pick up out of here. Okay. There. All right. So I'm just gonna drop a tiny bit of the triple thick on there, just to kind of get these to stay where I put them. There we go. So they won't move too much when I iron it. And I'm just gonna let that kind of set for a second. So yeah, it's super fun. Like, I think I could just do this all day, you know. Yeah, you don't really need to let it dry too much. It just enough so that it kind of grabs. So then, I noticed that, you know, this iron that I have, that I'm using, it has the, you know, it has the holes in it. So it's an old iron though. Definitely would not want to do this with an iron that you care about. Because yeah, it's gonna have wax in it for, I think, forever. So I would recommend having like just some kind of old towel, handy to kind of wipe the iron on. I noticed that after I iron and melt the wax, some of it does build up in those holes, and it sort of drips down when I set the iron up. It sort of drips down and melts out of the iron, and it's dripping onto my desk. So, which that doesn't bother me, but what happens is as it's sitting there and it's hot, it's actually burning that wax off. So I've been trying to, like, you know, get that extra wax out of there. I kind of tap it just a little bit, and that seems to be helping. So I would definitely have some kind of rag handy that you can do that with. So I'm using the yellow wax. Well, you know what? Let's try the white on this one, since I haven't tried the white yet. We'll see what happens. And I think that I'm probably a little bit more generous with the wax than some people would be. But I really want to have a nice sort of thick coating of it to hold down some of this heavy stuff, you know, like the flowers and everything. I hope that the sound of I have my air purifier on, but I turned it down to low. I hope it's not too annoying. It's probably making the sound on my video all crazy. I wonder if I should just turn it off. I should have tested that. I hope it's not that bad. Otherwise, I'm going to just have to do this again. All right. So I've just kind of sprinkled the little wax pellets all over. See? Just got them like all over the place. And tried to get them a little bit heavier in places where I've got, you know, thicker material and stuff. So, and I'm probably going to have to add more. But so basically what I've been doing is I just take the iron and I just set it on there. I try not to move it too much. Just set it on there and sort of let it sizzle, because some of that glue is still wet, so it's sort of sizzling. And I would definitely have a window open while you're doing this if, you know, you're concerned about your breathing or anything like that. Like if you've got asthma or any kind of respiratory issues, I would definitely try to do this outside maybe, or you know, with the window open for sure. So yeah, I really like the way that this works, and it's helping me get a little bit more color going. So as it dries, you know, it starts to become a little bit more opaque, and yeah, so and you can actually see where, you know, the wax is a little bit thinner, a little bit thicker. It definitely changes the color of any you know, paper and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so this I think is pretty good. I don't really feel like I need to add any more wax or anything to it anywhere, but you can see through some of these layers, you know, like through this orange paper, you can see that the paper that's behind it, which I think is really cool. So anyway, I don't know why my computer keeps going dark on me. So let's try another one of those. Let's do a larger one. I'm gonna try this big one. So, you know, basically when I'm collaging, I like to, you know, I like to start with like kind of like some sort of background image that I would like to kind of peek through as I'm building the layers, you know. So I don't necessarily want this big giant image in the foreground, right? I just want like parts of it to come through. So you're kind of planning that out. And So, and then you want to think about some kind of texture as you're building your layers. You want to look at building that texture so that the things that you put on top of it are going to take on that texture too. Sometimes, I mean, at least that's what I do. That's my thought process. So, like, I want to add some stuff on top of this fabric that'll take on the texture of the fabric. So I've got some little shreds of this is cheesecloth. Oh my gosh, I have cheesecloth in the oven. Hold on, guys. I gotta go grab it real quick. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I coffee dyed some cheesecloth, so I was drying it in the oven. And so now that I think about that, I'm gonna add a little bit more. So I have my mom making the junk journal salad today, and so she has my big scissors. That's okay. I'm just happy that she was willing to do it. All right. So I'm going to glue this layer down. And, you know, like I said, just enough to kind of hold it in place. And if anybody's curious, I'm using triple thick as my glue. It's very similar to Glossy Accents, but a lot cheaper. So I actually get it at a Hobby Lobby. It's a Deco Art product. It's called Triple Thick. So Americana brand. So for just kind of putting some dots of it all over to hold down this larger, whoops, this larger piece of cheesecloth. And then this guy, yeah, I'm not like trying to really glue it down so that it's not gonna move forever. I just want that little bit of glue that's in there to kind of melt and mix with the wax when it melts and hold that in place. And I have these pieces of like waxed paper that are kind of hanging out, and I'm just gonna, this is like trimming, these are trimmed off of some of the wax paper bags that I use. So yeah, just, you know, very dimensional, and you know, when this is ironed, it's gonna flatten out a little bit, and I think it's gonna look cool. So let's see, I'm gonna add a little bit of this lace, well, it's doily. Let's see. All right, and then I want to add a little bit of this letter. Actually, I'm going to try to tuck this letter under a tiny bit. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of it up here. So this isn't, you know, permanently glued down. It's, you know, because the glue's not dry yet. So you can still kind of move stuff around. And then I have these like metallic threads that I never use. And so I want to try to incorporate some of that into here. I like shiny stuff. So let's see. I think what I'm going to do is basically just cut these into like small pieces and kind of just set them on there. We'll see what happens. And this is a little bit thicker silver. It's almost like a cord, but I don't know what it's made out of. I'm just kind of dropping these on here. You know what else would be really neat is some like glass glitter. I'm going to grab some glass glitter and we'll see what happens. If I can find it quickly. Found it. So yeah, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of glass glitter kind of in a few little places. Yeah, it's going to be pretty. Hopefully. And apparently it's glass, so it shouldn't melt. All right, so I think that's pretty good. It's pretty neutral, you know. Here, I'll let you guys see a little bit closer up. So here's what it looks like now. Now let's, I don't know why I put this in this tall jar. I didn't realize it was going to be so stubborn to get out of there. As you can tell, I am really loving this process. I just think it's super, super fun. And yeah, something I've wanted to try for a long time. And I guess I never wanted to spend the $15 on beeswax at Hobby Lobby, you know? So anyway, so I was okay with spending 10 on Amazon. I guess it just depends on how badly you want to do something, right? But okay, so I've got a pretty good layer of wax on there. You can see they're just kind of sprinkled all around. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of the yellow to it. Why not? And I think that I'm probably more generous with the wax than some people would be. And I think what that does is it affects the level of translucency that I'm going to have, you know. I think I'm going to lose a little bit of that in, you know, the thicker application of wax. So, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So let's do it. See what happens. It's like making a big old mess. Man, I hope I don't shock myself. All right. So there's a few that didn't melt. All right, and I know that I'm gonna need to add some more wax over some of this thread. And a couple little spots that are a little light on the wax. All right. Okay, let's see how that does. And since I'm going to coat it with the triple thick anyways, you know, I don't know if it's super, super imperative that everything is, you know, held down by the wax 100%, you know. A little bit of, you know, if there's a little thread sticking up or something here and there, that, you know, that doesn't even bother me at all. I like the way the glitter looks in there. So, yeah. I love it. I love this this whole process. It's so fun. So, so, so fun. My computer keeps going dark. So here's the way it looks with the wax melted and not cooled yet. It's starting to cool. But yeah, pretty sweet, huh? I don't know. I just love it. Yeah, this is what I'm doing all day today. So maybe I'll, you know, do some ATCs and stuff like that too. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. I don't want this video to be too incredibly long, but I did want to show you guys what I've been up to and kind of give you some ideas, I guess, about using the beeswax. If you've not ever tried it, it's super easy. Basically, you just want to make sure that you don't plan on using that iron again for anything else. And ventilation is important, especially since, you know, I'm actually melting this glue too. Like, I don't know. I might not, maybe I should not be doing that. I don't know, but it's going to be okay, I promise. So anyway, and then I will definitely show you guys how these turn out as journal covers here in the near future. So, all right, well, listen, if you have any questions, you know, don't hesitate to comment, ask your question. I'm pretty good about, you know, getting back to people on YouTube. I get notifications for, you know, comments and stuff. So, so I'll see that. And then, you know, I do a live stream on Wednesday and on Sunday every week at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Just, you know, for a couple hours, we just hang out. And, you know, I'll usually work on some kind of project or something like that. But it's a really good time to ask questions if you have any, and get to know each other, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and then don't forget to like the video. That really does help a lot. What that does is it helps my videos actually show up in the like suggested videos for other people that have similar interests. So it really does help a lot for anybody who is trying to make a go of it on YouTube. And of course, if you'd like to see any of my junk journals or some of the supplies that I have for sale, I will put a link in the description for all of that good stuff. And then also check the links below also for some of the, you know, people that have inspired me greatly and have been, you know, incredibly supportive of me and my endeavor to junk journal. You know, some of them go way back, and you know, some are newer, but all of them are greatly appreciated and loved. So definitely, if you know, if you like what I'm doing, check out the videos or check out the, you know, the other channels that I've linked below. So anyway, And don't forget to share the video also if, you know, you feel so inclined. Like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Okay, I'll stop rambling. All right, you guys, I love you. Bye.